It was kind of a slow week for movies this week, so I decided to go back to a movie that I couldn't find in theaters, A Real Pain by Jesse Eisenberg. So we're going to review that movie. I know it's a little late, and I know we're streaming it, going against my rules, but let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. A Real Pain stars Kieran Culkin as Benji and Jesse Eisenberg as David, two cousins who were close growing up but grew apart when David grew up and got married and became a working professional. And Benji pretty much stayed Benji, moving in with his mom, being unemployed for probably most of his life, with no real plans for the future. When their grandmother dies, who was a Holocaust survivor, decided to go to Poland to see where she grew up and the house that she lived in, while also going on a Holocaust tour with tourists. Benji is an outgoing, charismatic, emotional train wreck who is now in a deeper downward spiral due to his grandmother's death. And David is the put-together family man who seemingly has it all together, but does he really? They're two cousins who, in ways, are both a little jealous of each other. The movie is also directed and written by Jesse Eisenberg, and it's also produced by Emma Stone. A Real Pain is a sweet and smart take on the buddy road trip comedy. There's a lot of dialogue that can make the movie drag just a little bit, but Culkin doesn't let the movie drag. He's really funny, and Eisenberg let Culkin improvise a lot in this movie. Kieran Culkin is incredible to watch. If you've seen Succession, you see that he is a great actor. One of my favorite roles of his was Burr Steers' coming-of-age film Igby Goes Down. And who doesn't love him as Fuller in Home Alone with his brother? It's a small role, but it's a very iconic role. And he's done a lot more significant films. He was an incredible choice to play Benji and is a great contrast to Eisenberg's character David, who feels like Jesse Eisenberg. And that's not a bad thing. I've always liked Eisenberg, especially in The Social Network and Zombieland. I didn't think he was a good choice as Lex Luthor.
When you came here, you had an hour. Now it's less.
But he probably didn't either. Eisenberg is great at playing the straight man. That's where he really shines. And again, that's not a bad thing. That role can be very, very difficult because you're basically setting up someone else to be funny. If you don't do it the right way, it isn't funny. The straight man offers up additional laughs based off of the straight man's response to his outlandish character. We also sort of see this crazy character through the straight man's eyes, and he sort of speaks for us in the movie. They are the voice of reason usually, like Dean Martin with Jerry Lewis, or one of my favorites, David Spade and Chris Farley and Tommy Boy.
Let's check you out. All right. It's a clip-on. Are you sure?
Both actors really deliver in this film and play off of each other really well in the written scenes, and obviously they really shine in the improvised scenes. It reminds me a lot of John Candy and Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Maybe a lower version of that, but it feels like that, especially in the ending, and you'll know when you see it. There's a scene in the film where they are taking pictures of a Polish war memorial, and Benji wants to take a picture with the memorial of the soldiers, pretending to fight alongside them. Kind of kitschy and campy. David is kind of put off by it and embarrassed, but once the rest of the tour does it too, you see the awkwardness and sort of jealousy because now he's not involved. It's a great scene that really distinguishes the differences in their personalities. There are a lot of great scenes like this. Some may think that these jokes are sort of overused. I mean, how many times do you really need to establish the fact that these two individuals are polar opposites of each other? And I'd usually think that too, probably, if I didn't enjoy them so much. This is a very personal film for Eisenberg, filming in Poland, where his family is actually from, and examining the pain his family went through during the Holocaust, but bringing a lightness through these two characters who are only experiencing it through this tour. It's nice to see his vulnerability in this film. I'm sure that it wasn't easy to write this on a personal level, but hopefully it was a cathartic experience for him. I wonder if the personalities of both cousins are really two different personalities that he deals with inside of himself, but who knows? A speculation. There's a scene that really got to me and made me think about these tours you go on in general. The tour visits a Jewish gravesite, and the tour guide James, played by Will Sharp, who is very knowledgeable, is giving facts and the history behind the site, Benji actually loses it on him. He's upset that he's killing the vibe and sort of disrespecting the site with all the cold knowledge he's giving.
It's all real, Benji.
Is it?
I've only said real things.
It's real? Then how come I haven't met anyone that's actually Polish? I haven't had any interaction with somebody who's like from here. You know what I mean? We've just been going from one touristy thing to another touristy thing to
but that sort of is what tour is, though, isn't it?
It's a really uncomfortable but sweet scene. It's kind of a wake-up call for James, who wasn't trying to really offend anyone in the first place. To me, it was a really, really smart scene. So I always liked Jesse Eisenberg for the most part, except, again, for Lex Luthor. But I really started liking him after I heard this interview with him on Justin Long's podcast, Life is Short. His personality and who he actually is in real life kind of surprised me. And strangely, I enjoy his movies more after listening to that podcast interview. It's a fun podcast, by the way. I love Justin Long, and he and his brother do an amazing job with it. So if you haven't heard it, I recommend it. Check it out. It was really cool and fun to see Jennifer Grey in this movie. She was iconic for my generation with movies like Red Dawn, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I knew it!
And of course, one of the best movies of the 80s, hands down.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
She has a small part in this film, but I love that she was in it. I was always a big fan of her in the small roles she played, especially, of course, in Dirty Dancing, which was a bigger role. I loved her in this movie. The cinematography is well done, the look of the film is clean, and I think represents the look of Poland well. It made me want to actually go to Poland. The shots were basic, and a lot of the shots were static, but purposeful, I think. The movie relies more on the writing and the comedy and more of the emotion. My one complaint, and it's so minor, is that when they visit a concentration camp, they show this cage of thousands of shoes, and the angle was fine, but I would have loved to see that shot cut with an ultra-wide angle lens, like a 22mm lens, maybe so we could really see how many shoes are in that cage on a grand scale, with maybe a silhouette of the people on the torn front to give the scene more of an emotional impact. But that's just me. That's my stylistic info. The score was really interesting and a great choice. It was mostly piano classical music by the Polish composer Chopin. It was a nice touch and a nice Polish connection to the story. It also made the film feel like a classy road trip movie that's a little smarter than most buddy road trip movies that we've seen in the past. The choice of music matched the emotion of the scene, and it was a very smart choice for the film. A Real Pain is another one of those films that a lot of people didn't see. It wasn't in theaters very long, and by the time that I found it, it had already left the theater the day before, so I had to catch it on iTunes. It'll actually be streaming soon on Hulu, January 16th, so catch it there if you're interested. It's also on iTunes to buy, which I'm actually glad I bought it. I want to see it again. A Real Pain is a fun but sometimes sobering buddy comedy road trip movie. It's smart with a lot of class and a lot of heart. It's a beautiful personal story from the director about family, the past, and where it leads. It's about growing up but not forgetting who you used to be and how we should hold on to a little bit of that. It's a slow burn comedy drama that didn't make me feel like it was a slow burn. Culkin and Eisenberg work incredibly well together, and I really enjoyed this film. The ending left me hanging just a little bit, but I'm sure there's a reason Eisenberg did this that way. I'm giving A Real Pain 4 stars out of 5 for all of these reasons. Go check it out on iTunes right now or January 16th on Hulu. As always, thank you for watching and subscribing. Let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments. And remember, don't wait till it streams. Let's go to the movies and see it together. Unless you can't find it in theaters and stream it a month or two later, like I did.
Without online ads, actually, a lot of the websites that you visit for free wouldn't be able to exist. It's kind of like the lifeblood of the internet.
Hey, dude, I think they want us to pay attention.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to finish the story.
Yeah,
So
it's just kind of rude, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, just trying to do their jobs.
Insert